How important is representation in young adult fiction? One of the events that I attended last week at the NGC Bocas Lit Fest was a one-on-one that was hosted by Jamaican author and literary scholar Carolyn Cooper, who's wonderful, by the way. I read one of her books that she edited, Global Reggae, a few years ago for school, and I met her at Bocas, and she's just such a lovely person. But at this event, she conducted an interview with the equally lovely, well-known British young adult author Alex Wheatle. Wheatle was born in the UK to Jamaican parents and grew up in foster care until the age of 14. Music was always an important part of his life growing up. In fact, in 1976, when he was just 16 years old, he became a member of a band called the Crucial Rocker Sound System, Notably, he also participated in the 1981 Brixton uprising against institutionalized racism in England, after which he was arrested for a whole year. His first novel, Brixton Rock, was published in 1999 and follows a young lad of a similar background. The event started off with him reading a little bit for the audience and then getting into a discussion with Cooper about why he writes for young adults and why representation in young adult literature is important to him. So this discussion about representation was propelled by him reflecting on his own life experience and why he saw it as necessary to highlight the plight of communities whose stories aren't necessarily reflected in mainstream literature or fiction or media.
I was raised in an orphanage, basically, in Surrey, from the age of 3 to 14. So life was very tough. So I guess in all my writing, even when I was a DJ, I wanted to address those people who were like me. I thought that their stories were very important and they should not be left out or marginalized in any way.
So obviously it could be very demotivating for people in these communities to want to write or tell their stories. But Wheatle did, and his sources of inspiration aren't necessarily the most conventional for most writers. I mean, first of all, when talking about what got him into writing in the first place, he made mention that he never really took creative writing courses and he never really studied literature in that way, and he just sort of became a writer as he went along with it. And quite a lot of his inspiration didn't really come so much from reading as it did from music.
Come listen to the words of the young man Iguana. Uprising means the uprising. Uprising.
So what's interesting, Alex, is that you started to write as a sound system man before you started to write fiction.
That's correct.
Talk about that.
That's where my inspiration came from, because it's not to say I wasn't interested in reading. It's that when I went to the bookstore, there was nothing there that reflected my experience.
So you didn't take any creative writing courses?
No.
You taught yourself, self-taught writer?
Through reading and listening and a honey for reggae music.
I found that to be quite interesting because as somebody who's just really and truly a recent lover of reading and who's never studied literature at an advanced level, I'd always felt as though as if reading is my thing, yes, but writing is not for me. Like, that's not something that I would have ever been able to do. And that's stupid because, you know, you don't need to learn Shakespeare by heart or, you know, debate the meaning of blue curtains to be able to write something of substance. In other words, y'all best buy my damn book when it come out in 2088. Just saying. But writing often comes from a sense of purpose too, right? And Wheatle did talk about what gave his writing a sense of purpose and what drove him to write all of the books that he has out now. And this came about largely by a radical prison inmate, okay, who he coincidentally shared a cell with in the year after the uprising, and who had a copy of a certain little book by a certain little C.L.R. James.
And he had a copy of The Black Jacobins. He just slapped me with it and said, Alex, fix up. You must read this. This, you know, all your questions about where we come from, our identity and so on, this will give you, you know, a start. You must read this. So I read The Black Jacobins, and when I finished that, I thought, whoa, why didn't they give me that book at school?
No, they don't want you to know that.
When I came out, I wanted to write about people who were struggling like I was struggling. You know, I wanted to write about sound system boys. I wanted to write about hustlers. I wanted to write about girls who got fling out of their house because they're growing locks.
In the comments down below, let me know if you've read anything by him because I'd love to know your thoughts on his books if you have any. Also, share your thoughts on any of the things that I talked about in this video. But that's going to be it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and until next time, inshallah, keep reading.